Chapter 3. Contemplating the karmic deeds of sentient beings and their conditions. At that time, Lady Maya, the Buddha's mundane mother, reverently brought her palms together in front of her chest and asked Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva, O Holy One, when sentient beings in Jambudvipa commit various karmic deeds, how different in severity are the deeds, and what kinds of retributions will these sentient beings receive? Ksitigarbha answered, Within 10 million worlds and regions, some have hells and some do not. Some have women and some do not. Some have Buddha Dharma and some do not. Likewise, some worlds have Shravakas and Pratyeka Buddhas, and some do not. The differences in deeds committed by all sentient beings vary greatly. Therefore, hell is not the only retribution for their evil deeds. Lady Maya was still very concerned and asked the Bodhisattva again, I would like to know, if sentient beings in Jambudvipa commit sinful deeds, what kinds of retributions will they receive, and what kinds of evil realms are manifested by their sinful karma? Ksitigarbha replied, Noble Mother, I hope you will listen and believe what you are about to hear. I will give you an overview. Lady Maya answered, Yes, I wish that you, O Holy One, will speak of this. Then Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva said to the noble mother, In southern Jambudvipa, the 5 evil deeds that will attract grave retributions are as follows. The first kind of evil deed, for those sentient beings that are not filially obedient towards their parents, perhaps even going to the extreme of killing them, such a sinful deed will make the beings fall into unremitting hell and stay there for 1 quadrillion kappas without a date of release. The second kind of evil deed, for those sentient beings that shed the blood of a Buddha, slander the 3 jewels, or slight the sutras, or dharma taught by the Buddha. If any beings commit such an evil deed, they will magnetize the sinful karma and fall into unremitting hell for 1 quadrillion kappas without a date of release. The third kind of evil deed, for those sentient beings that invade or steal property from a Buddhist establishment, blemish monks or nuns, indulge in sexual misconduct among the Sangha group, or kill or harm the resident practitioners. Such beings will fall into unremitting hell for 1 quadrillion kappas without a date of release. The fourth kind of evil deed, for those sentient beings who pretend that they are Shramaneras but are not Shramaneras at heart. They infringe on the necessities within a Buddhist establishment, cheat other upasakas or upasikas, violate the disciplines, and commit all kinds of evil deeds. Such beings will magnetize the evil state of unremitting hell, where suffering lasts for 1 quadrillion kappas without a date of release. The fifth kind of evil deed, for those sentient beings who steal the valuables, goods, grain, rice, food, drink, and clothing that the livelihood of the practitioners depends upon, or who take even 1 item without permission. Such acts of stealing will attract the evil state of unremitting hell, and the suffering will last for 1 quadrillion kappas without a date of release. Ksitigarbha continued, Noble Mother, if any sentient beings commit the above-mentioned 5 sinful deeds, they will certainly fall into the 5 unremitting hells as a consequence, where they cannot even plead for an instance of relief from the suffering. Again, Lady Maya addressed Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva, asking, Why is it called unremitting hell? Ksitigarbha replied, Noble Mother, All the hells are located within the great iron-enclosed mountains. There are 18 large, major hells, and there are 500 secondary hells, each with its own name, and again, there are 100,000 more hells whose names are also different. The exterior of the major hells has walls with a circumference of more than 40,000 kilometers and a height of 5,000 kilometers. The walls are made of solid iron and covered with fire, which burns in all spaces and spares none. Within the fiery walls there are many hells. Although all the hells are connected with each other, each has its own name. There is only one hell, called unremitting hell. The circumference of its walls is 9,000 kilometers, and the height is 500 kilometers. The walls are also made of solid iron. Fiery flames shoot down from the top towards the bottom, and from the bottom towards the top, covering the entire wall. There are iron serpents and iron hounds patrolling and galloping back and forth across the top of the wall, breathing out fiery flames to drive back in those trying to escape. Within unremitting hell, there is a huge bed covering an area of 5,000 kilometers. When a sinful being is enduring suffering, he only sees himself tied to the bed all alone, with his body stretched out, covering the entire bed. Though there are 10 million beings enduring the same suffering, each one only sees himself stretched out and covering the entire bed. These manifestations are the retributions from committing the 5 unremitting sins. These sinful beings must further endure enormous sufferings. There are 100,000 yakshas and evil ghosts with teeth protruding like sharp and long swords. Their eyes are intimidating like lightning flashes. They have copper claws growing on their hands, and they drag, snatch, pull, and seize these sinful beings. Moreover, there are yakshas holding big iron forks, spearing at the torsos of those sinful beings, or at their mouths or noses, or their bellies or backs, hurling them into the air repeatedly, or throwing them onto the bed. There are iron eagles pecking out and devouring the eyes of these sinful beings. There are iron serpents strangling their necks. There are yakshas driving long nails into hundreds of joints of each of these sinful beings, pulling out their tongues and letting iron cows plow them. And their intestines are ripped out and chopped to pieces. Melted copper is poured into their mouths, and their bodies are entwined with hot iron. Any one of these tortures could cause an immediate death, but the dead will soon be reborn again for tens of thousands of times to experience further tortures. Whoever has committed the 5 unremitting sins will magnetize the manifestation of sufferings in unremitting hell, and for 100 million kappas they will have no chance to get out. Worst of all, the sinful retribution for unremitting hell has no end to it. Even when its realm encounters a total destruction, the hell beings will transmigrate to another realm to continue other sufferings. When that realm comes to a total destruction, the hell beings will relocate to yet another realm and another realm. When the first realm comes into formation again, the hell beings will return. Any of the unremitting hells has strong magnetizing forces for sentient beings who have committed the 5 rebellious grave sins. Thus, the unremitting retributions are endless. Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva explained further, there are 5 manifestations induced by karmic deeds and attributed to the name unremitting. What are the 5? First, manifestation is time. Every moment, day and night is suffering that lasts for kappas, without a moment of rest Therefore, it is called unremitting. Second, manifestation is space. The space can be entirely filled by one sentient being or by many beings without leaving any extra space. Therefore, it is called unremitting. Third, manifestation is torturing. The instruments of torture are used in turn repeatedly, such as forks, clubs, eagles, serpents, wolves, hounds, iron nets, iron ropes, iron donkeys, and iron horses. The means of torture are holing, grinding, sawing, drilling, filing, boiling, burning, strangling with rope made of animal skins, pouring hot iron over the bodies, eating iron pellets when hungry, and drinking melted hot iron when thirsty. The sufferings are unremitting and continuous, year after year, kappa after kappa, and up to Nyuta kappas without an end. That is the reason for the term unremitting. Fourth, manifestation is of no exception. Regardless whether one is a man or a woman, a certain ethnic group, race or nationality, young or old, noble or indigent, a naga, a god, a deva, or a ghost, as long as one has committed the deed of the 5 unremitting sins, one has to suffer these tortures without exception. Because there's no exception, the hell is thus called unremitting. Fifth manifestation is of unremitting deaths and rebirths. Once a sentient being falls into this hell, from the time of entering the hell for 100,000 kappas, he or she has to go through all the sufferings moment to moment, even after dying and being reborn 10,000 times within one day and one night. There is no hope to get even an instance of pause from the suffering unless one atones for the sinful karmic deeds and becomes reborn elsewhere. Such continuous and unremitting births and deaths is thus called unremitting. Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva told the Noble Mother, I am only giving a very simple and general description of unremitting hell. If I were to speak of all the hells and all the sufferings within them, including all the devices of torture and the torture methods, my narration would still be incomplete, even after a kappa of time. After hearing these miserable recounts, Lady Maya was most worried and saddened. With palms together, she made obeisance to Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva and withdrew.